Hi, and welcome to Mindful Mondays with Carrie. Today is more on reparenting. Today we're going into embracing joy, which is what life is all about, right? So as a quick recap, reparenting is the process of being able to connect with ourselves, with our inner child, to be able to identify our needs and wants, and get those met, right? Whatever my inner child needs, it's my responsibility to be able to hear her, to understand her, and to find the ways that can get those needs met until they're satisfied. It's about prioritizing myself, and being able to trust in my intrinsic worth. The more I show up for myself and get to know myself and how to get these needs met, the more I show up and meet my inner child and let her know that she's heard and understood, the more that trust is built in that relationship. We all need to feel seen, heard, and understood. And I get to do that for me, and you get to do that for you. And then in that, we get to share ourselves more fully. We get to show up at the table filled up and also with more clarity about what we want and need, so I can ask for it more directly instead of playing games to try and get you to know what to do and so on and so forth. So in the previous weeks, we talked about the inner child, we talked about self-discipline and self-care, and this week it's all about embracing joy. So, are you a person that struggles with perhaps creativity, with spontaneity, with being able to feel joy? If so, then this is the episode for you. All right, so growing up, did you get to be creative? You know, a lot of times intellectual pursuits, academics are really a focus, and a high value is placed on these things. There might be fears that, if you are pursuing a career in the arts, that you'd become a starving artist. You can't make money as a musician, or how are you going to make money as a painter, or whatever it might be. And therefore, we might be redirected into other pursuits. Our parents trying to help us and protect us and wanting us to be productive adults, not trying to squash that creativity, but really trying to help us. And sometimes things can get thwarted. Or perhaps you're in art class and a teacher makes a comment about, I don't know, something that you internalize that, oh, I'm not good at this, or it's supposed to have a blue sky, or whatever it might be. And little by little, it might not be one big thing. And perhaps you lost the creative spirit that once was there. Play is something else. Perhaps, we again had to study, or perhaps we had a sibling who had special needs, or maybe ourselves, or a parent was sick. Maybe there was a chronic illness. Perhaps there wasn't space and time for play. And we didn't learn or foster the love of play, or learn how to do it. It sounds silly, but I know my grandchild is blessed with an amazing imagination, and sometimes adults are overwhelmed by it and not knowing how to kind of go into this imaginative world, wanting to do it right, or to conform. And that can stifle the imagination and the creativity or the play. There's also a lot of full schedules out there, so many full schedules. And I think even today, more so than when I was in school growing up, having to have so many extracurricular activities as kids are applying to college, that all of their day is accounted for, and even the fun play might become that I have to do well in order to earn a scholarship, and then it kind of takes the joy out of it. I've heard people, once you start to earn money, let's say you love cooking, if you become a chef, then it can take the play and the fun out of it. So looking at the emphasis we're playing on the play and activities. And then getting into the schedules, we can often be so busy that we lose time for play. Or we don't create space for spontaneity or even boredom. And really, boredom can become a fertile void that from it springs to life creative solutions or creative play. So if every time is accounted for, we lose something in that. And as a child growing up, we learn what it's like to be an adult. We have these beliefs about it, and we don't question those. So it might be that an adult needs to be responsible, and responsible is like a heaviness that doesn't allow for play and joy. Perhaps a parent said, oh, I can't play with you, I need to work. I'm an adult, I have responsibilities, and I need to do these things, as an explanation as to why I'm not going to stop doing this thing in order to play with you. So enough of those, again, well-intentioned, not meaning anything, but if we are internalizing a message to mean, oh, adult means heavy responsibilities and no play, or you're supposed to be an adult, so therefore you aren't able to be silly, or those types of things. So a lot of times there are these limiting beliefs that we're carrying, and we might not even know that we're carrying them. You can learn more about that in the episode on resistance to contact when I talked about introjects. I think also today, it seems like busyness is almost like a badge of honor. Everybody's so busy, and it's almost as if you're not busy, then that equates to not being successful, or that you're doing something wrong, rather than creating a work-life balance where you get to enjoy life, and have a childlike wonder to really be able to experience life with. And perhaps, you have a big family, and there's a lot of roles caring for your little ones, or your aging parents, or both, right? The sandwich generation. And in all of that, perhaps you're left with a pragmatic view of life that's full of schedules and productivity and budgets and making money and saving for college and so on and so forth, that the joy just fades away, right? So the creativity, the play, the spontaneity, the joy, these are all essential ingredients to living a fulfilled, whole, WHOELE life, a fulfilled whole life. It's essential for our mental fitness and our emotional well-being. We need play in our life, even as adults. It's important. As much as like sleep. We need sleep, we need play, we need it all. We get to have it all. So many clients are caught up in the work of the caregiving, of the responsibility, and people pleasing. Sometimes it's just like trying to please the people around us, that we don't stop to think, what do I like? What do I enjoy doing? Perhaps you're moving into the empty nest phase of your life, and you've been so focused on raising your children that you have forgotten what you enjoy doing. So I suggest discovering it, talking to people about what are their hobbies, what do they enjoy doing, thinking back to what you did enjoy doing when you were 5, when you were 12. You could even Google activities for these different age groups to kind of get ideas and play around with it. What brings you joy? What brings a smile to your face? What makes you laugh so hard that your belly hurts, right? Be curious about these things. So, and also schedule spontaneity. I found this to be really helpful a while back. a while back, I would look at the calendar and every weekend was accounted for. And then if I wanted to get together with somebody or somebody invited me to something that wasn't planned in advance, there would be no space. Or, I've talked to clients who, if they do have space on their calendar and somebody requests them their services for helping them move or to do whatever it is, sometimes they might not want to. And because the space is empty in the calendar, they feel bad to say no. Rather than schedule that as a time for spontaneity, right? And to block it off, time for self, a date with self, right? It can be with yourself, or it can be in that moment to check in. What do I want to need? Perhaps there's trying out a new activity or a new arts and crafts project or DIY project, or to check in. Perhaps there is a need for connection. You want some contact with people, to be able to reach out and see if somebody is available to grab coffee or go for a walk or whatever it might be. And to be spontaneous. So playing around with that, what comes up for you around it? Yeah. So the teachable takeaway for this week is to find out what brings you joy. How can you embrace more joy in your life? How can you further recognize the joy that's there and soak it into your pores even more? The act of receiving that joy, letting it in, right? You can go back to the episode on the awareness and contact cycle for more on receiving. Try one thing. I know it was I guess it was a year ago now that I could just feel my inner child wanting to roller skate. It's been like a long time since I went roller skating. And I just had my inner child was wanting to roller skate, and I didn't want to do it alone. So I got my daughter and my grandchild and we went roller skating and we had a great time. Sometimes I'll walk by a swing set and I know my inner child loves to swing, and I will go swinging and just really, even if it's just for a few moments, and really enjoying that, letting it wash over me. If you're an arts and crafts person, there are so many kits for beginners, whether it be paint by number, adult coloring books. There's like embroidery kits for beginners, all kinds of stuff. Go to a craft store, Michael's, Amazon, whatever it might be. I saw a macrame kit for beginners, so many different things. There's also classes. I heard at Joann's Fabrics, I believe, I had a client who found a beginning sewing class at one of their stores that they tried, or a knitting class. So have a play date with yourself. Try something new. Ask friends what they like to do. See if you can't join them. If you have an artsy, craftsy friend and you don't think you're talented in that way, or you just find that you don't do it, perhaps you can set up a time with that friend, even if it's over a Zoom or FaceTime, that you're both doing it at the same time, even if you're working on different projects, right? That can be a way to bring some joy to it. Going out in nature can be certainly a place to find that childlike wonder and awe. So going out in nature, I have a lot of fun dancing. So looking at movement, swimming, playing games, singing, karaoke, whatever it might be. Sitting on a bench, just sitting on a bench and people watching or reading a good book can also bring moments of joy. I remember sitting at a bench, I was enjoying a latte and reading a book, and every once in a while I would notice the people that would come by, and there was this little girl who was probably around 2, I'm guessing, and was just so filled with joy over walking. She was just walking. I don't even think she was chasing a leaf or anything. She was just so filled with joy, and just watching her filled with joy as she was walking down the sidewalk brought joy to me, right? I also find a lot of joy when I'm walking around my neighborhood with dogs. Lots of people walking dogs around me, and I don't have a pet, and I enjoy other people's pets. And sometimes, you know, it's, you can pet the dog, and just witnessing that joy, you know, seeing the dog's tail wagging and almost like they're smiling, and just soaking in every bit of the rubs, and bringing in joy with other joy. And I heard a podcast once, I think it was called, I don't know the name of the podcast, who it was. It was over a year ago. But they were talking about joy spotting. And I really like this idea of how often can you notice either your experience of joy, or when you notice, like I noticed that little girl, and it just, joy seemed to be beaming out of her pores. So notice those moments of joy and really try to soak them in. Yeah. So that is your teachable takeaway. Find out what brings you joy. Try something new. Schedule a date, schedule spontaneity in your calendar, and share in the comments where you found joy this week. Help inspire others where they might find joy. I think we all need more joy in our life. And if you want to check out more, there's also a blog on my website, willowholisticcenter.com, that you can find out more. You can also check the events if I have any events coming up. And yeah, that's all for today. So go out and embrace joy. Have a mindful week.